All right, we'll do our best.
Could you hear that?
Yes.
We're like children.
All right, what are we going to talk about?
This one over here. Look at this microphone.
We're going to talk about going nationwide.
I mean, you bought them, so
I'm done.
it's perfectly within your right to lick them. But it's
you're one of those people who licks everything you own.
Mine.
I wanted to see if Becky wanted to trade.
I'm so done.
All right, and welcome to another episode of Company on the Rise, your place for entrepreneurship in real time. Today we've got Chris, Becky, and Evan, and I'm your host, Christopher Keeney, and we're talking about going nationwide.
I just want to say that I dressed up for today, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. I feel like professional today.
Was it laundry day?
I feel like it's going to be a good day.
To wash your 500 gray hoodies?
They were coming in to take pictures. So.
Did you get that from my office?
No.
Oh.
I actually wore it. I actually planned today. So pretty charged up about that.
Yeah, we cleaned up.
Sounded like a dig.
All on the inside, and then they take your picture outside.
Right. Well, you know.
Literally. Not even with the new...
There were no office shots.
But not even with the new...
No, he didn't want that.
Signage on the front.
Didn't want it. But the sign looks way better. It does.
It does. Did you notice?
No, I didn't.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Well, that's a good thing.
It ripped. So we were putting it on and got a little carried away, taking it off of the backing.
Jesus, squeegee?
So we had we got it on there.
Good.
I mean, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing that I didn't notice because it wasn't that bad.
The word home's gone.
Right, but I didn't look at it. I just look, when I pull up to work, head to the ground, I'm walking in. I don't know why.
Because he's sad. He's sad. So he drops his head like...
Going into hell.
Time to make the donuts.
Jeez, you were so worried about like getting made fun of. Now you called him sad and weird.
You called me weird last episode.
Evan's my buddy.
I mean, you're not wrong about either thing, but that's neither here nor there.
I think the weird comment was more of a positive statement.
It was.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Weird in a good way. Yeah.
That's the only way I can take it.
Well, the good thing is when you're nationwide, you can hire somebody to put stickers on and decals, right?
Yeah, we hired Becky to do that.
I enjoy it. I'm fine with it. I'm good.
All right, so going nationwide, you guys started as a local company in like the greater Cincinnati area, right? Because you live in the greater Cincinnati area, and that's where you kind of taped the lights together and was figuring things out. And then, so tell me a little bit about like how you guys started locally. Like, was the focus at first just local, or were you trying to sell it to everybody that you could?
No, we wanted to start local first. And the reason is that we were developing brand new technology, basically with a team that was outside the lighting industry. So we were, when a lot of companies talk about product development, they're really iterating products they've already got. They may improve it 10%, or they may it's the iPhone 12 versus the iPhone 13, right? There's a little bit there, but you didn't start from scratch by any means.
Right.
And when we started the company, we started from scratch. We had nothing to start from, and so we wanted to get product in the field, and we knew because for all those reasons that we were going to have issues. So we wanted to be able to go to the customer really quickly and get to them and not have to travel and get on a plane and try to figure it out somewhere remotely. So we wanted to hash the product out locally first, both for our time and travels, and secondly, we were able to take care of the customer much better in those instances.
Did you have a lot of customers locally that you were going to their houses and like if they had issues or if they had questions that you were talking to or going?
I would say in that first year, I mean, it got old.
Yeah.
We were on. I mean, there are a lot of customers that I still call by first name and would have no problem going in their backyard right now with no phone call. Like just, hey Bob, I'm here. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot of work, and it got tiring. It got old.
Wow.
But it's what we had to
I think
do.
it was necessary. You know, it was kind of like a test market. You know, we were still wet behind the ears. We were still trying to figure everything out, and so it was kind of cool that we only had like a handful of people at the beginning that we were really close with. So it's like, you guys let us know if anything wrong happens, and we'll be there to fix it because we need this as part of our
But
research.
I think the other and the other thing that enabled us to do is, I remember coming in this room one day, and I mean, we got to know our customers really well because of that. And so I made an avatar of who our customer was at the time. It's changed now, but and said, this is what our customer looks like. They're between 45 and 60. They're male. They're married. They have a job, but they don't need one. They
have grandkids.
They have kids of independent age.
Yeah. So
they were definitely driving. If they were doing their backyard, they were doing it because they wanted their kids to come back home. And so I mean, we had our customer nailed.
We had it down.
And I don't think we could have done that without doing that. So it really helped on the marketing side as well. Not only the product development, but it helped on the marketing side as well.
There's a lot of companies who have to put in a lot of money to do that marketing research, where you guys were just hands-on, dealing with them straight on and finding out what they really need. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
matter of fact, I remember we had a conversation one time where we're building this avatar, and I said, you know, you're either a business owner or a manager in a larger business, or, you know, so I could define what your profession was. And while we were having this conversation, a customer called, and I didn't know who they were, and so they were asking about the lights and how they worked and everything like that. And I started asking them some questions, and there were a couple people in the room, and I had them on speaker, and I said, well, what do you do for a living? He goes, oh, I'm a business.
Like, yep, check.
Check.
So, and like I said, it's harder now. As the market has grown for color outdoor lighting, so is our customer base. It's not as niche as it was. It's now we have way more women.
I was to say women are driving it now
than we did, and so it's evolved as we've gone on. But those are fun times, and they're people that I'll never forget.
Yeah,
and even to this day, we take care of those people with no questions asked, because they really helped us kick off.
I'll say that's one of the things that I've noticed, that you guys really do take care of your customer. Like, if there's a problem with the light or anything, somebody calls in, you guys are on it. And I even went with you to one of the people's houses that they were having a problem, and you and Sandeep just figured it out, fixed it, and made it happen. And you don't see that from a lot of companies these days,
especially like the founder.
Right.
Especially the founder.
Yeah.
Like, just like the fact that you answer phone calls for troubleshooting is pretty amazing to me.
It's part of. I mean, first of all, it's part of just who I am. I can't stand if somebody's having a problem. The engineer side of me wants to solve that problem. So I get a kick out of it. But I think also the product creator side of me, it helps create better products, because you can find out what your issues are, or even perceived issues, which are ultimately issues, and make better products because you have that experience and firsthand experience of talking to the customer. And that's where our business model, we wanted to make sure that we weren't just selling through distribution, and we wanted to sell through all the channels, so we could have all of those conversations, because every one of those people are customers. Our distributor's a customer, our professional installer is a customer, and the homeowner or business is a customer. And so you could talk to a distributor and they could give you one piece of feedback, but it may not be the user's feedback. It would be their feedback, you know? Right. And so your feedback is different based on the style of customer that it is. And we wanted to make sure that we got feedback from every channel.
Do you think as you grow and you push for the nationwide, that your business, like, how is your business model going to change while you're pushing to go for nationwide?
I mean, really, when we turned the switch to go nationwide, it really happened really quickly. Right. We went to a trade show specifically for outdoor lighting down in Florida, and that was really our coming out party, and I was really nervous, but we stole the show, and there was nobody in that room that didn't know in 30 minutes that we had the best technology in the room by a factor of 10.
Awesome.
And so,
listening to you talk about how the ceiling was just lit up, the pink, and like it was really cool.
So that really enabled it, because there were people there from all over the country. So that really enabled us to launch, and then it snowballed, because once a few of them started installing across the country, they would put it on Facebook, and then people would ask, "Who is that? I've never seen anything like that." Yeah. And they would, and now we're to the point where if it's honestly, a lot of times on these Facebook groups now, if it's a color picture, the first question in the comments is that Haven Lighting? Yeah. Which is a great place to. I mean, that's the Kleenex. That's the Kleenex spot to be, right? Yeah, right. And so now we have to work on growing the market size and really focus on that. But
Becky, were you there for that one? Because I know you kind of came in the middle of Haven going from local to nationwide.
So when I started, it was literally like a week or two before you went down to Florida for that event. I was winging it while they were gone. I didn't know what I was doing, but you make it work and learn a lot.
So who was our first non-local customer? Was it the guy with the deck or the dock that survived a hurricane?
That was
early.
Yes, that was early.
That was super early. That was
he was actually. Well, so he was actually that's kind of what helped start Haven, to be honest. He was I don't know if you remember, we didn't have a controller. We used a Joe Florida controller.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We used a Joe Florida controller for that project. And Matt Senna made a converter board to a custom converter board to convert it to 24 volts and run the Haven, what would become the Haven Lighting strips.
So he wanted to run them on a dock?
Yeah, a boat dock that survived a Category 3 hurricane.
Yeah, they were. Wow. And it's been through 3 of them.
Yeah. And he sent us a video of, he's like, all right, moment of truth. And he turns them on, and then they turn on, and he just loses his mind. He's like, oh my God, that's amazing.
He called me and he said, these things have been under the ocean for 5 hours. He said, is this going to work? And I said, I have no idea. Hopefully. I said, the strips will be fine.
Did that happen after I started? Or
no, this is all.
So
this
you
was
just showed
really
me the
early
video
on. Yeah.
Okay.
I said, the strips will be fine. I just don't know about the power controls and all of that. And because it was open, it was open down to the bottom, down to the ocean. So I didn't think that would survive at all, the power supply section. And the only thing I can think of is that as the ocean rose, because it was a PVC tube that went down where all the wires went down in under the dock. Yeah. And the only thing I can think of is that as the ocean rose, it trapped it. There was an air pocket in there, and it trapped the air in there, so water never went in.
Nice. So even after it was at the bottom of the ocean, he just flipped them right back on.
Right back on.
He was so excited.
He was so excited.
He screamed. He was so charged up.
And so he was your first nationwide person, and you were making products on the fly for him?
Yeah, we weren't quite going nationwide yet.
Yeah, that was kind of an experiment. That was pre-Haven, really. Yeah. I mean, we were starting Haven at the time. And we didn't have a lighting controller at the time. So, I think we talked about before, I owned a motorcycle lighting company. Yeah. So we used one of those controllers. Then we made a converter board to convert into from 12 to 24 volts. And then,
so was that your proof of concept moment where you're like, this is going to change things?
It definitely gave us some confidence.
We had already started the Haven development. And it was just an opportunity. I think we talked about in earlier things. In those early days, you say yes to everything.
Say yes to everything.
Because you need the revenue. And so I spent the weekend in the ocean with him. So he had a jet ski and a kayak. And he was on one and I was on the other. Out in the ocean under the dock, putting up these light strips all weekend. I was so wore out at the end of that weekend. I mean, it was 12 hours a day.
And
a kayak and a jet ski, and your arms are over your head like this, right? Yeah. The whole time, putting up these strips. Yeah. And depending on the tide, sometimes you use the kayak and sometimes you use the jet ski because you needed the different heights depending on the tide.
Which was easier to work from, the jet ski or the kayak?
The jet ski was definitely more stable.
So what are you going to miss when you go nationwide? Because I don't know that you can do the amount of customer service, hands-on stuff when you go nationwide, because there's going to be so many more customers. how are you going to handle that?
I mean, well, we're nationwide now.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And so our product distribution nationwide today is basically follows the population. If you look at the map of our product installations, it pretty much follows the population of the United States. And so along the way, I mean, that was that first kind of, when we started local, we knew, because we planned on going nationwide, we knew that we had to develop all the support tools and everything to be able to handle all that support locally. And really, it's one of the unique things about Haven Lighting compared to most of our competitors is that we're cloud-based and we can see all of the information, and we can have great support because we can pull up all that information on the server and see exactly what's happening, and it's a great system.
Like we prepared for that eventuality, so it would be scalable, you know.
So even though you might not be at the homeowner's house in a kayak or a jet ski, you're still going to be able to help each and every one of them the way that you have in the past, which is a cool way when you grow your company to do that and still be able to be there for the customers.
Yeah, we really do, and they probably don't appreciate the technology as much as much as it helps them. Because they don't have the competitor product. And so, I mean, what we're able to do versus what most of the competitors can do is off the charts when it comes to support.
Yeah. They have nothing to compare it to because
Right.
they only know us.
But I think at the end of the day, I mean, we've got all 5-star reviews. We concentrate on that very heavily. And I think anybody will tell you that, that our support is top notch. And I mean, let's talk about Google reviews for a second, because if you're starting a business, Google reviews are really, really important. We care a lot about them. And the interesting part is that it's very hard. I find it very hard to get people to enter a Google review. It's just, it's even though you tell them it's a minute of your time, and it's 3 steps, and it's something that, and so it's almost a favor you're trying to get them to do for you. And so what we have found is that I would say 95% of the Google reviews that we get come from people that have had problems that we've helped. And I think psychologically, I think it's because we just did them a favor, and so they want to return the favor.
Right.
And their return of the favor, as human nature does, is that Google review.
Appreciation of
That makes sense, because I know there's like, as a consumer, you give money, you get a product. So if you're going to write a review, I mean, that's like every time I call for customer support on anything, all you have to do is hang on the line to give them a review and let them know how they're doing. Why? I don't know how many times I hang up until somebody who actually helps me. If that person is extra nice, then I'll go ahead and hang on and do that. But it's not, if it's average or below average, click. I don't care.
Yeah. It's not that big a deal. It just seems like nobody wants to take the 30 seconds to do it. So.
Yeah. Like I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine kind of thing.
Well, and it comes back to the whole underdog story that we've got, this through line that we have. Like, people want to help us out because, we're on the rise. They're like, oh, I want to
be
there.
Part of it.
They want to be a part of the history of it. Like ground floor. Like, oh, I remember when they were like nobodies.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
You do get this. I think all companies start that way to some degree. You start out with, it's the standard. I mean, we've got it up on the whiteboard. It's the standard product curve of, you got your innovators that buy, and then you've got your early adopters, and then you have, and in each phase, I mean, it works for any product. For each phase, there's these special groups of people that will or won't buy based on how early the product is in the cycle and all of that. And,
yeah, it's like the same with tech stuff. It's kind of like whenever there's an iPhone update, I don't do it right away.
Right.
Because I'm waiting for the bugs.
But there are people, 2.5% of the people, that do it right away.
Exactly. Yeah, they want the new thing. They want to try out, see what the bugs are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a book I'm reading. Actually, I'm not even all the way through right now. Crossing the Chasm. That's all about this product curve. It's all about the biggest gap of this chasm is really of this bell curve is this jump between these first early adopters and innovators to a more generalized population. Yeah. And that jump is tough. And so And so we are, we've gone nationwide. We're heading down that path, and we're trying real hard to cross that chasm. And so I'm reading all the books I can about how to make that happen and how to do it. And because once you do, the floodgates open. Right. Even more, because it goes from, you got 16% of the people on the left side of the chasm, and then the next group is like 35%. So it's like a whole more huge population.
Like a tsunami.
It is, and as soon as you jump it, it opens that door.
Yeah. Game on.
Yeah. So that's where we are in that phase of the business.
So Becky, am I right in that you were hired in kind of the help to push for Nationwide and support?
I was just here to support, like whatever was needed, wherever I could chip in. So yeah, take some of the load off, because Chris at that point was doing everything. I think he had some help or whatever, but so yeah, that was to take some load off of him to start learning. So that way, once we got to where we are now, I could be more beneficial to the.
And we had gone through, as any company does, I think, especially at any size really, where we hired some employees that didn't fit our culture, didn't fit our values, just didn't fit, and so we had some turnover, a little bit, not a ton, but some in the early days, and it was really just trying to get that culture right, was, as you know, is very, very important.
Right. Yeah, it was just growing pains, really. Like the puzzle piece didn't quite fit.
That's a challenge, though. Really, I mean, you were around in those days. Yeah. It was. Looking back, I don't know why I put up with it.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
I mean, looking back and some of the drama that went on, it was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
So this is a question for everybody. Anybody who wants to answer, what are you most excited about when we are that bigger company, when we do have the nationwide presence that we want? What do you think is the most exciting change in the company that way?
It's kind of too soon to tell, really.
Yeah.
At least from my perspective, because I've never stuck with a startup this long. Like I've been here 8 years. I mean, of course, we weren't always Haven during that 8 years, but like all the startups I've been a part of, it's usually been like a high turnover, because I guess the culture wasn't right for whatever reason. It's not necessarily like, one person is a bad worker or a good worker. It's just more like it's not quite the culture fit. Yeah. So I think the longest I'd ever been at a startup was like 9 months, and then right into 8 years. Yeah. And so I'm just like, I don't know what's next. I have no idea.
So kind of like the not knowing.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely exciting.
Yeah. I think it's like when you have children and like you think you know what the future holds, and you see this path and but you never really know how life is going to go and what they're going to turn out like, and I think it's the same, because I think even here we're starting to see just different paths that wouldn't have been envisioned, and so you put forward what you think your plan is and what you see, but then things come up and it starts to take a little bit of a different path that you didn't see. That's equally as exciting or more exciting, and it's just the way that it evolves.
And you got to be not afraid to like change your strategy along the way. Like you might have a vision of what is like, okay, we're going to do it like this, but then things come up where you can't do that. You have to do it a different way. And
so for me, just being a part of the story,
and
a part of like just the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are, as we go through this podcast, there are several pivots, that a couple that have already happened that we'll talk about, and a couple that we're right in the middle of, right now that we'll talk about, and so you get these small pivots that aren't that meaningful, but there's probably been 2, 3, 4 major pivots that we've made. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more as we move forward. So to Evan's point, I think you just have to keep that strategy evolving and in this case, some like if you pivot one way, then that's driving another pivot because we've got to change the way the business is operating to support the first pivot.
Right.
And so it's always exciting around here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'll say one of the things that I'm excited. You showed the blueprints of the new building that we're going into, and just
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, for one, the dedicated studios, the product showroom, everything. I mean, it looks amazing. It looks like
we won't be doing a podcast in the same room where we 3D print stuff.
Print room. I'm so happy to have a print room.
Right. I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, it's going to be nice for us to kind of like flex our creativity a bit more, and because we'll have a space to do it, and we'll be like, oh, I want to use the conference room, but it's being used for like a conference call. So
I don't know how many times we've.
But really, that's one of the pivots. I mean, I think that's happening is that with this nationwide push and we are nationwide now, and it's really driving a lot of business. But we're going into a building that's 10 times what we have now, and I think for most people think I'm an idiot because they say, well, you could fit in a building that's twice as big as you have now instead of 10 times. But I'm looking at it on a long-term basis on what do we need, and the pivot really is. I think it helps in all aspects of the business. It's not just operations. I think it helps in marketing because we can do videos and podcasts, and we can do installation videos in our environment with cameras everywhere we want. And we've got a huge area for that, 6,000 square feet just for that, right? And so we can make all these videos. So for marketing, it's important. For employee recruitment, it's important. So I mean, we're gonna have we've got a planned game room and a planned, so in an era where people are trying, I think most employees are trying to figure out, do I want to work from home or do I want to go in the office? We want to make an environment where you want to come in the office because I think, as we talked about in previous episodes, this iteration process that happens when everybody communicates in the office is way better than trying to. I don't even know how you run a business with all employees at home.
There's a power in collaboration that is not to be undercut because there are things that someone comes up on their own, they don't see necessarily the flaws in it because it's near and dear to them. But then you put that in a collaborative process, and then all of a sudden that thing, whatever it is better because of it. Right. So,
well, putting everybody in a room together and talking is way different than everybody communicating through instant messenger or through their keyboards and computers. For all of those reasons, I think having people in the office and making an environment that people want to be in the office. I think it'll be. I think team building wise. I think culture wise. I think all of that building. We're doing that building for all of those reasons, not just operations. Matter of fact, it's probably more for those reasons than I've got more dedicated to that kind of stuff in that building than I do for operations right now. Well, because that's one of the biggest challenges is getting people to know the product and what it can do, right? So that's because I know with the showroom and everything, people will be able to come in and actually play with the technology and the lights. And I think
that's
right. Be amazing.
Yeah. It's going to be great. And we're going to have a competitor room where we'll have all the competitive products there so you can see the big differences between ours and theirs. And then part of this nationwide push that we've done when you started, I think, is that we're having these training sessions where 50, 60, 70 professional installers come in at a time and do these trainings. And right now we do them in hotels, and in the future we'll do them on site on our, we've got a whole training facility that we're doing in the new building. So all of those reasons, training somebody in a hotel is fine and we can show them all that. But when they walk into our building and are able to see everything that we do, they can see the R&D section. Yeah. They can see everything that we do that for the most part is behind the scenes. Right. It really adds to the value of the business. And they're not just buying lights. They're buying the team. They're buying everything that backs that product. And when they can come and see that, it's way better than having it in a hotel.
I think it gives them an opportunity to really experience us.
Right.
And
the behind the scenes of it all.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
That's why we're putting Becky in a closet way back in the corner.
Whatever.
I'm just excited about Mortal Kombat tournaments.
To Becky's point, people. I think in any business, people buy from people. Yeah. Always.
Oh, totally.
And it's why, and you want to know who the company is that you're buying for. It's why we do the videos that we do in some of these cases that don't necessarily talk about our products, but talk about who we are and how we support and why it matters to us and why we care about what people do with our product and who that supports and all of those things are tremendously important for us personally. But I think it's also important for the person buying the product to know, who am I buying this from, and what are their values?
Right. Like the who and the why is just as important, if not more important, than the what.
Yeah.
You know, like we sell lights. You can say it. We manufacture and sell lights. That's pretty.
At the end of the day, the who and the why is brand.
Right.
Yeah,
that's brand.
But it's we're not just selling the lights. We're selling the experience. We're selling what you can do with the lights as far as like championing your own causes and expressing yourself with the lights. And that's what Haven's all about. It's not the product, it's what you can do with the product.
Right. The celebration of it all.
Oh, it gives me goosebumps, Evan.
Yeah, well, you know, we developed that together. So, well, it was mostly your idea, but
so I know we're pushing for the nationwide right now, and I know we're selling nationwide. Is there a measuring mark that you have where you know, like, okay, we've gone completely nationwide, and now people know about this?
We're there.
I was going to say, I think we are.
I mean, I think the Guam, Sheraton and Guam buying our stuff, and
I forgot about that.
I mean, we don't promote there, we don't sell it, but they found us on the internet and bought our stuff, and that's another case where I was able to support them from. I mean, I think that's a 20-hour plane flight or something. I was able to support them from here and show them how to get the product online and all of that. And consumers don't know about us necessarily because they don't even know to look for the product yet. And that's part of this crossing the chasm is you have to get the information out there that people even know to search for the product.
Right.
As far as lighting professionals and lighting installers, if you don't know that we exist today in the United States, then you're not on Facebook and you're not on. Yeah. All of these groups talk about and promote what they can do with our lights, and so I think we've definitely accomplished that. I think that's one of the challenges in continuing our really high growth rate is everybody that wants to sell smart lighting as far as an installer goes and wants to do the best color technology there is, they do know about us. And so we've picked up all of those people. So now it's, okay, how do we pivot a little bit so we can keep this customer base expanding and keep them expanding? And so that's kind of what we're working on now and the strategy.
That's cool. You're still focusing on the customers, even though, you know, you're going more than nationwide, worldwide. You said Guam, right?
Guam. That one was a surprise.
That was a surprise.
But it's fun to have on the map.
Yeah.
And the thing, back to the chasm thing, like you look at your average everyday person, they're not thinking about landscape lighting very often.
Right.
Right.
They're thinking about it when it's not working or when they need new landscape lighting fixtures. So that's really where our challenge is because people aren't going to be like fans of Haven lighting necessarily until they get it. And then they're like, whoa, this is really cool. But, no one's a fan of, you know, our competitors.
Yeah.
Cause it's just lights, you know, it's not that brand awareness. It's not that, you know, that lifestyle brand that we're trying to put out into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if maybe like Statue of Liberty being lit up in Haven lights would be, yeah, we made it.
That would be the case.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Actually, I want the White House.
The White House. Ooh. Make it a pink house.
Make it a pink house.
We're on the governor's mansion in Kentucky.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Really? But I want the White House.
Wow. All right, guys, that would be great. End it on the White House, turn the White House pink. That would be cool. Thanks for joining us this week. Make sure that everybody checks us out on companyontherise.com. And you can also go to the YouTube channel,
Yeah, all the references for the books we talk about and everything throughout the whole season are on the website. So go check it out. They're all the books that we talk about are worth a read.
Yeah. All right.
Very good.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Later.
All right, let's go.
You ready now?
I'm ready.
You good?
Are you good?
I'm always good, but you're.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, this is 7 minutes of around. Maybe there's something valuable.
Okay, I don't do that, but okay. Let's go.
All right.
Stop! For God's sake.
Give me the damn.
She's trying to promote the light.
All right. Let's go. Come on.
Jesus.
Hey, y'all, this is Chris with Company on the Rise. Click here to subscribe.